are going to be breaking down fishing a jig, especially around docks. This is one of my favorite techniques of fishing jigs. This video is going to be broken down into 3 sections. It's going to be your setup, a rod and reel, what I look for when you're picking out a jig, and then how I like to fish it. Okay, so this is the setup. When you're dock fishing, you're going to want a longer rod, 7-foot rod. A 6'6" is probably the lowest I'll go because a 6'6" is a really great all-around rod length. You're going to want medium heavy to heavy, depending on how much cover. I prefer medium heavy with a fast action tip, so you're able to skip it under there, skip it under the docks, and get to places no one else has ever fished. Then for the line, you're going to want heavy line because some of the nastiest looking docks you're going to have to pull out a fish out of. So for fluorocarbon, I'd stick 15 to 20 pound. I prefer 20 pound 100% fluorocarbon. You have that low stretch, which is going to help you get those big wide hooks in to the fish's mouth. Then for braid, I'd say 50 to 65 pound braid, depending on the cover. Heavier the cover, the heavier the line. And fluorocarbon braid, it all depends on water clarity. And so for your reel, you're going to want a 7-1-1, 7-4-1, or something fast. You can even go into the 9s, which Abu Garcia sells some Revo reels that are really fast, because you want to be able to be efficient when you're fishing. You want to be able to flip the bait in, skip it in, pitch it in, and you want to be able to do your action. If you don't catch a fish, you don't feel anything, you're able to reel it back in and keep moving down the line, fishing different areas of the dock. And so that's pretty much the setup. Now when picking out a jig, I like to stick to 4 things. You got to look at the weight of the jig, the style of the jig head, the color of it, and how it is made. All my jigs I buy are plumb head tackle jigs. And this is of the fact that they are hand tied. They will last a lot longer. All those rubber tied ones will rot out if you leave them in the sun. So I prefer going to a hand tied jig. The link is to the description to his Instagram page is obviously in the description. So the link to his Instagram page. So that's how you want it to be made. I like to trim up my skirts so you get more of an action to it. You get more of an action, it flares out better in the water, and it draws a bigger bite and a bigger fish. Because they will come, plumb-head tackle makes the jig really long, because sometimes in certain situations you're going to want a long jig, a long skirt. But I prefer to cut them, leave a 1/2 inch to 1 inch. I cut them in a circular pattern to just give more flash. Then breaking down the colors, you got your shad colors, your whites, your white and chartreuses, your white and blues, your white and blacks. That'll imitate obviously shad and bait fish and minnows. Then you got your browns, which will imitate craws. Then you got your watermelon, your green pumpkin colors, which will imitate a bluegill. Then you got your black and blues, your darker colors. Your darker colors are going to be better in dirty water because it makes a better silhouette for the fish to bite at. And for those clear water situations, you can stick to all the other colors like the browns, the chartreuses. Chartreuse will work in dirty water, but I always like to stick to a black and blue. Black and blue is a good all-around color. So depending on your weed guard, you may have to trim them, but the way plumb-head tackle makes them, I really think they're perfect the way they are. Then going down to the trailer that you're going to use, you really have 3 types of trailers. You have your beaver style trailers, which will allow a slower fall and it'll make a bulkier presentation. Then your second style is a chunk trailer, which will make a faster fall. Beaver and chunk trailers don't really have much action to them. It's all in the rod tip. Then you have your regular crawl ones with a swimming action or a twisty tail. Actually, there's actually 4. And then you also add in a swimming trailer, like a swim jig when you're fishing a dock. So now to the head shapes, because this will also tie in to which trailer you're going to be using. So I stick to 2. You got your Archie style head jigs, which are the number one jig head to use. I love them. Since it's flat, it's like a stone. When you're skipping a rock, it'll skip. So just like this jig head, you're able to stick it, you're able to skip it under the dock and go where no one else has fished. Then I stick to the swim jig head, which you'll use your swimming trailers and all sorts of stuff like that. Those are really nice to use because you can just burn them by the dock pilings, and you can flip them under there or pitch them under there. And those are really 2 I stick to, and I'll do a chatterbait video in another video. Then for your trailers, I already really went over trailers. Obviously, chunk trailer is like your Zoom ones. I'll show you guys. Fast fall, really good trailer. But this is really that's all you can use it for. I prefer getting like something like this. It's a Big Bite Baits swimming craw. You can use that craw Texas rig, but then you can just bite off an inch of it or ½ inch and use it as a trailer, and it's got a great swimming action. And it all around does really good. Nice presentation. Then I like to buy the regular easy swimmers from Gambler. Their link to their website will be in the description also. And I just like to get the regular easy swimmers because the easy swimmers, you can Texas rig them, Carolina rig them, use them as a swim bait, but then you can also cut off an inch or an inch and a half and use it as a trailer, just like I did here on this jig, which is a really great jig. So that's pretty much all I use, all the modifications I do. And the last thing I do is put some scent on it. Go check out Baitmate. Link is also in the description. I prefer to use their flip and dip when throwing a jig, because it's got this big open cap that you can just dip the whole jig in, and instead of the sprayer will work too, but when you spray it on there, it doesn't really get inside the bait. This really soaks the jig and gets inside of the bait. It'll help you when the fish are finicky, and to get that smell of your hands off of it and make it more lifelike. And that's pretty much for the presentation. Everything you got to take into account, and just match the hatch is really the key there. Then the last one of the 4 is which jig weight you want to use. 1/4 ounce and 3/8, and 1/4 ounce and 3/8 ounce is really what I like to stick to. 3/8 ounce is a good all-around jig weight because you're able to skip it under there. It's got a nice fall to it, but that 1/4 ounce really has great skipping ability. Gives a smaller profile. It's a really nice jig weight. So those are really the 2 I'd stick to. You may have to go to a ½ ounce if the cover is super, and you got to really punch through the cover, which you'd probably use a punching setup when doing that. So those are pretty much the 4 things I covered: skirts, color, how it's made, weight, jigs, head style, and that is pretty much. Now I'm gonna go show you how I like to throw them. So to finish this video off, this is how I pretty much like to throw it. This is what I look at when I approach a dock. First of all, when you're fishing docks, dock pilings are a major importance. You gotta decide where the grass is, maybe where the rock is, the hard bottom is, if the fish are deep or the fish are shallow, shade pockets. y'all, you have to look at all of that when you're approaching a dock to get key bites and stuff like that. So this is how I pretty much approach it. So I get my jig. This is how I like to fish my jig. Pretty simple, that Arky style jig head, tied on 20-pound line. Get out here. I get a good fall to it, adjust my bait caster. I pick a dock piling, I just throw it over there, let it sit, let it get all the way to the bottom, hop it a couple times, do a big hop at the end, let it fall, nothing happens, move on to my next location where I think there are. Really soak the dock, let it fall, skip it again, twitch it again. Really let it fall and adjust is the key. Is adjusting. You really want to hit the dock a couple times, maybe throw in the same spot, just in case. If you really key in on a spot and you really think that's where the fish are, maybe throw it in there a couple times and let it sit, twitch it back. And make sure, sometimes working it all the way to the end of the dock, all the way back to the boat is the best thing to do. But if you really need the bites quick and you're in a tournament situations, twitch it, bring it back. But if you're just going out for fun, sometimes bring it all the way back to the boat. You'll actually get that bite all the way at the end of the boat. So that is the end of the video. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment any questions. And I will be making more videos like this and to help you guys out. And that is it.